Hello, everybody. Welcome from Australia. Some of our friends have been asking us to do a video on how both of us got married, even though I got rejected the first time, and then how we eventually got migrated to Australia. So, those are the two videos we are planning to do. But today we are going to talk about the three things that both of us have learned in the first year of marriage. So, how long has it been since we got married?
Got married last April, JD, April
Okay.
30th. So it's been more than a year now. And the second year seems to be harder than the first.
Yeah, people say like the first 2 years are the hardest.
And I was hoping the second would be easier.
Oh, why is that?
Because I thought we'd get to know each other better and understand each other's differences. But I think it's a long, long journey.
I also feel because we are, significantly very kind of different people. Our mindsets are different, so maybe that is why we are taking a little more time than a normal person.
Probably, but we'll
yeah.
have to get to know a bit more.
So the first thing that I learned in the first year of marriage is the fact that all of us have accumulated a lot of wounds in our childhood, and once you get married and you're living with this person 24 hours in a day and 7 days a week with this person under the same roof, there is high possibility that these wounds, start manifesting. And what I have learned is, even though I have a lot of wounds, I have learned to be aware of why when I'm reacting from a particular wound and how I should control my emotions, my thoughts, and my behavior that are emanating from this wound. Probably that has really helped me, behave in a more decent and a loving and a affectionate way, you would say. Like, do you have any comments on that? Do you agree to that?
Well, yes, people have told me that we kind of bleed into the other person, right?
Especially when we are wounded.
Yes, and till that wound dries up, the process continues, right? And marriage is a place where our worst behavior comes out onto the surface very clearly. So it's very good that one is self-aware before marriage, because at least then we'll be cautious enough to, face ourselves when we're losing it.
But do you agree that I am not acting out of the wound?
I disagree at sometimes, JD, because you have acted a lot of times and you've reminded me also this used to happen before, and that's why I'm reacting like this. But I feel that you are
There is
more
a
aware.
need, more aware, but I need more healing
Yes,
too.
you definitely do need. It's a long, long process because it's something that starts from childhood. So unlikely that 1 year of marriage is going to resolve
that. So what would be your first thing that you have learned?
So I got into marriage actually thinking marriage is a partnership. Marriage is an equal partnership.
50-50.
It's about equality and division of work. And
No, when you say partnership, you thought it's 50-50 partnership.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Boy, was I so wrong.
Why is that?
See, basically marriage is about bolstering each other, okay? We have our strengths and we have our weakness, and God has designed it in such a way that we complement each other, right? So there are certain areas where I cannot give my 50, 80 or 90%. I may even just probably give 0.1%, and you have contributed a lot in that. There are many areas the same in which I can do very well, and I expect you to perform equally well, right? Because I thought, okay, we're together, we have to. I definitely feel, we're good in different ways, but I thought in marriage we need to try and be equal to the other person, or at least try to improve ourselves. But marriage is not that, okay? Marriage is strengthening the other person when the other person is weak, and you yourself, when you're weak, humble enough to learn and get support from the other person.
True.
So it's actually being 100% of what you're strong at, and also being 100% open to the other person's support and strength for you.
Yeah, that's well said. Because one of the examples that I always find in our marriage is, like, I'm pretty good with people, like social networking, anything outside of home, I'm generally very good.
Yes.
But Shasta is very good inside of home economics, cleanliness, how to make sure that we don't waste food, how home economics is taken care of. So those are areas where I allow Shasta to lead, but in other areas, Shasta naturally lets me lead. But at the same time, even when we are doing work, like for example, I am very, very good with networking. Like I might call 10, 15 people with ease in a day. But for Shasta to talk even to one person in a day is difficult over the phone. So I can't tell Shasta, no, I have called 7 people today. You have to call 7 people. And that's how it's going to work in marriage, 50-50. it doesn't work, right? Because I'm trying to, push you out of a comfort zone in something you're not used to and you're not good at. So I might as well do it in an efficient way rather than pushing Shasta, especially in an area where she's not comfortable and she might not be that efficient also. And, vice versa. So as Shasta said, I feel marriage is something where we complement each other, where she helps me in the areas where I'm weak and I help her in the areas that she's weak. So it's not a 50-50 partnership.
I agree to that, JD. It's just that sometimes I think the reason why we have friction in this area is because I'm expecting 50-50, but there's also nothing wrong in your partner giving their 10% or 20%, right?
Yeah.
Because it is hard otherwise. This journey is going to be hard if we're going to be only focused on our strength and strengthen the other, but try to at least slowly develop some sort of interest in areas that we are weak, because that is what the other person will appreciate. That is something I would definitely appreciate from you personally.
And one more, caveat to that particular point is both of us have lived in a certain way for more than 30 years. For example, I've never changed my slipper, whether I'm inside the house, inside the bathroom, or outside the house. Now, for Shasta, that is something important. So, as she rightly said, I cannot say, no, this is how I have been. This is outside of my comfort zone. I'm not going to do that. At the same time, Shasta also cannot expect that change like overnight or, within a matter of
2 years.
2 years.
I can't expect it in 2 years.
So somewhere we meet at the middle point where she compromises her standard of expectation and where I try to, come out of my comfort zone and meet her where she's okay, kind of tolerating my behavior to a certain extent until I reach the point of perfection or her expectation.
Exactly.
So the second thing I have learned in marriage is how important it is to let go of our small fights, misunderstandings, our small hurts, because once we nurture that hurt and resentment, I think it becomes a fertile soil for the devil to work. It kind of nurtures even a small disagreement or a small fight we have had. If we allow it to nurture, it becomes bigger and bigger, and eventually it creates a rupture in the relationship. And then it becomes very difficult for us to, come to a point of understanding where we can freely communicate. So I feel in the past 1.5 years, there have been not even a single instance where I have fought with Shasta or I've had a misunderstanding and I've, brought it on to the next day or something when we discuss something else. Yeah. And Shasta is a honest person, so I can boldly say that I have not done it even once, because I have understood letting go and not allowing the devil any space in our fights and disagreements is very important, especially in a couple, because marriage is a sacrament the devil is trying to break all the time, and especially in marriage we cannot allow that to happen. Do you agree?
I totally agree, JD. Actually, this is one area where I thoroughly appreciate you, and I wish I could inculcate this habit of forgetting your fight quickly and moving on, right? My mother always used to tell me, don't let the sun set on your anger. And I think one of the reasons this marriage is going on better than I thought it would is probably because of your qualities. So hats off for that. Okay. And this is a problem personally I struggle with a lot. Okay. JD has noted this before marriage, and this is something I still struggle with even now. And I agree that for a healthy relationship, it is something I would definitely have to work on, because it is a fertile ground for Satan to definitely act for me. Because a lot of resentment starts pouring in.
And negativity starts.
Yeah, negativity, a lot of... everything that is bad about the other person is something that I start thinking about, right? Yes. And I fail to appreciate, and it's actually kind of taking them for granted, in a way. So this is something that I may take years to develop, right? And it's not something that I can come over, because it's something I've had from childhood. So that's a good point.
Yeah, and what's your second learning?
So my second learning actually is that, how people say marriage is so important that everything has to be done together, right? But I also see a lot of importance for having your own personal space as well, okay? One is because it gives you time for reflection, okay? So especially when we have disagreements, it is good to allow the other person to heal a bit. Okay, because we have our own healing processes. You can come out of it fast. I may not be able to come out of it fast, and that is mainly because I need some time for reflection.
Yes.
Okay, that's one. Second is to be, this is a lifelong commitment, right? And there'll be ups and downs. And you need to have a little bit of your self-care time and things that you like to be passionate about. Okay, and that kind of motivates you through the day. Like, for example, you may like socializing a lot and you like going out very often. And I know it's important as a married couple for me to come along with you, right, JD? But sometimes it's okay. I don't have to feel guilty or,
that you're not able to accompany
I'm not able to accompany you, or, once in a while saying, no, I would like to stay back, rest, and sort
have
of
your
things.
own time.
Yeah, have my own time. I feel it's very important for the relationship as well, because your own sense of identity, and also after that refreshing time with yourself, you can continue this bond together with lesser friction. It does make a difference, because recently for the weekend you had to go, right? And initially I was thinking of not joining you. Of course, I joined you later for a totally different reason. But there was a time initially, I think in the first year of marriage, there were times I didn't want to really come out with you for all events, but I thought, no, it's very important for marriage that you have to do everything together. You don't really have to do everything together. Okay, and that is something I learned is very important, and that is something I'm trying to practice in this year of marriage, actually, after one whole year.
Yeah, I agree to that.
Yeah.
And the third point which I have learned is how much important sense of humor is, because laughter is a gift from God, and it plays a very, very major role, especially in marital life, because if you're not able to laugh about things, you're constantly, stuck with this serious and frictional relationship. So, I've seen how it has, helped smooth our, fights and misunderstandings. And when Shasta is in a bad mood after she comes back from work, I just say something funny or do something funny where she can ease out. And I keep telling that to Shasta also. Like, before marriage, I told her, 99% of the time, whatever I'm saying is for fun. Only 1% is serious, and that 1% I will tell you I'm talking serious, so that she doesn't take offense to everything that I'm saying or everything I'm joking about. So that has really helped. Like, even when we have heated arguments, I just put in squeeze in a joke so that it eases out the tension. And all these things, it's not something that I've learned after marriage. I've applied all this when I was a leader in the choir, whether in the context of Song on Fire or everywhere God has placed me as a leader. I had to, inculcate these kind of qualities to have a better relationship with the people I was leading, especially the choir members. And I saw it having an incredible effect even in our marital relationship. Sense of humor is vital, and I'm not the first person to say that, or we are not the first person to say that. I've heard many couples say that how sense of humor is really helping their marriage, and I've seen one of my close friends also have that great sense of humor where they can laugh at each other and also bring laughter in their heated arguments. So I feel laughter is a gift from God, and we need to utilize it in our relationships. Do you agree?
Well, yes, you do have a point, JD, because every time our fights have potential to go out of control, I think it's the humor that you bring in that kind of, doesn't let it derail. Okay, so
it gives also other person to the space to kind of chill out, not hold on to that intensity of the argument.
It sure does, but sometimes I still hold on like a leech. But I think, it definitely allows for space for the argument to remain within its boundaries and not going out of control, because our emotions can really be raw at those times, right? Second, it adds a lot of fun to the relationship, right? Rather than just talking about your routine day of work, because you have your own different schedules. It's fun to have humor brought in because of that. And third, it's just good for health, I think, your mental health.
Yeah. I always keep telling Shasta not to take things very seriously. Now, of course, there are things which has to be taken seriously, but at the same time, we don't have to, apply that intensity to everything that we are discussing, everything that we are doing, which just makes life a very, on the feet. Like, you're always in a stressful environment, pressurized. So I feel, that is not the way marriage should be, because marriage in itself is bringing all its pressures and stress naturally. So why should we, kind of create that environment for us to live in such a situation?
Absolutely.
So yeah, as Shasta said, there are things that we need to be serious about, but of course we can bring in a sense of humor and all the other things that we think is not that very important.
Yeah.
So your third thing.
My third thing is, I think this is something that Jason Everts said when you were interviewing him, or he said it separately. It was a very, very striking statement. It says that marriage is a place where your weaknesses and bad qualities surfaces up like oil on water.
Yeah.
Okay. Never has my bad side been so manifest as much as it has after we got married on April 30th. Right. And one of my friends said this is a battlefield, right? And this is actually the battle where you're kind of fighting against this weakness. And one of the greatest gifts here is humility and trying your best to give. Those are the two things that I have learned. Okay, especially like I'll give you a small example. So we went on this Kerala trip on our first anniversary, and we met some of our friends, right? And one couple, specifically Vishak and Ruchika, were talking about how important it is to give, because I was very adamant about a certain thing. I'm just not going to contribute, like, it was cooking. I said, I'm not going to get into the kitchen. I'm sorry, I cannot accept somebody who's so picky, and he can make his own food if he wants to. I'm not going to come in his way. I don't expect him to do it for me, but I just want him to do it for himself. And Vishak was like, when he had that mentality, he realized after marriage how much more beautiful it was if he had this mentality, if he had this thought of, what more can I do for her?
It's more about giving.
Yeah. And that kind of made him grow as a person, and he realized that it actually made his marriage much more better and beautiful. Okay, so that is one thing I learned. This giving is really, really difficult. Okay, because I thought I'm a giving person, and after marriage you realize you're not. I thought I was a patient person, and after marriage I realized I'm not.
Especially living with me.
I know. Right, so in this battlefield, I think a little bit of humility and this letting go attitude will definitely work. So after that, I got motivated, and I think I tried it once or twice. It has been rewarding at those times, but it's just that I'm so stuck with this notion, right? That someone who is very picky in this area needs to take charge of this. I'm not. This is another process, I think. It's a long, long journey for me to come out of it, because I just have too much of ego.
You're now honesty.
I just have too much of ego that I have to let go of. And I think this is a long battle that I'll have to fight. And that's the third thing I learned, that this battle is a long one.
I feel that's a wonderful ending to our sharing today, because as Pope John Paul II says, we increase in the measure that you give it away. Like even in my life, I've been a narcissist and an egoistic person before Song on Fire, and over the last 6 to 7 years, I have received an immense amount of healing with proper spiritual direction and me spending time in the adoration. So I feel I have developed this attitude of giving, and it has really made me a better person, or it has made me even more generous in everything that I'm doing, and people admire me or respect me for that. So
you are really modest today.
So I feel that's a wonderful ending. So I think in marriage we have to develop this attitude of giving, otherwise it's going to be very, very traumatic for us. So you increase in the measure that you give it away. So I hope our sharing is helpful for people who are having the same challenges as we have in our marital life. So please share your comments and let us know what other videos you want us to do. Take care. God bless. Thank you.
God bless. Bye.